Good morning, race fans. Chris here with Jaeger Bombs Fantasy Sports, bringing another daily fantasy NASCAR race day live show. Time change this morning. I hope that didn't affect everyone. Affected me. I put the show up as noon Eastern, thinking that where I am, there's a 2 hour spread in time. We don't change currently where we are, so I kind of messed that up a little bit. So kind of wait for a few more people to pop in here. I made the edit to that. So today, NASCAR Cup Series, Straight Talk Wireless 500, Phoenix Raceway, who's got the fourth race of the season. Like I mentioned I'm going to bring it up here. Just give me a second. Had the preview show. So if you haven't seen the preview show yet, it's something I brought along this week. What I wanted to do was concentrate a little bit more on the live show in terms of making lineups rather than going over, some of the old history, or course history, stuff like that. So I do have that preview show. That link is just dropped into chat now. So if you haven't yet, please go check that out. Throw some likes up, comment who your favorite driver is in that video, and check that out. What we're going to concentrate on today is we're going to look at some practice qualifying, see where the field sets up. We're going to talk about some of the projections on our new projection system. It's a work in progress, so bear with us. Any feedback would be just greatly appreciated as we tweak that week by week, and we should have that up. We're also working on some PGA projections in-house as well. That's going to be, we're hoping to have something up by the Masters for the PGA, but the NASCAR thankfully has come together a lot faster. Dane's kind of been the guy behind that, and I'm going to get him on here one of these shows once we get it tweaked a little bit more. I'm going to have him on a Sunday on one of these race day live shows, maybe even a preview show, probably the race day show, just because the projections are out after that practice and qualifying data is entered in to the model. And just kind of get him to go through, maybe answer some questions regarding those projections as well. So exciting times. I'm glad to be back. This is the fourth different track type. So we had Daytona Super Speedway, we had Atlanta, which is like a hybrid super speedway. We had COTA road course race last week. Tyler Reddick's won all three of those. Can he go 4 for 4 this week? Doesn't really look like it could happen, but hey, you never know. Who thought he was going to be the first driver ever to win 3 races to start the season? So keep that in mind. That he is absolutely red hot, and not to turn down anything that Bubba Wallace has done so far with that 23-11 team. He's got 2 top 10s and all 3 of the 4 races inside the top 20 as well. So he's been doing pretty good himself. And for anyone that's new here, maybe not a member of the Jaeger Bombs Fantasy Sports team, right now we've got one more day. Tomorrow is the last day of our special that we got going on. So for $5 for the first month, you get our all sports package. And what that's going to give you is not just Truck Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts, and Cup Series for NASCAR. It's going to give you our PGA sheets. We do live golf. Sometimes we get the DP World Tour in there. We do the PGA Tour, obviously. We've got NHL, NBA, college basketball, March Madness is starting right away. We've covered 10 plus sports right now. MLB is starting up right away. Spring trading is going on right now, along with the WBC, which has been absolutely amazing, by the way. So get over to www.patreon.com/JagerBombs, grab that all sports package and use code Jaeger5. I'm going to drop that in the chat here as well. And you will get that first month for just $5. Get in and check everything that we have going on here at Jaeger Bombs Fantasy Sports. Another thing that you can do if you'd like to see some limited, without paying, some limited content that we have. So there's the link, and the code we'll get in there is you can head over to, again, patreon.com/JagerBombs, and you can grab a free trial. And what that's going to give you throughout the week, we have some NHL, some college basketball, some NBA, sometimes some showdown stuff for PGA. Sometimes the truck sheet or this week the O'Reilly sheet was free for free trial members. So get over, get that free trial, and so that gives you 2 options to get in and try out our services, see what we have available to the public. So with that said, we're going to jump right into the sheet here. I will pop that up. We'll make that just a little bit bigger. We'll go like this. Get me in the top here. So first things first, Brad Keselowski going to the rear. He's already started 37, so real no big deal there. Still going to give you that place differential upside there with Brad. The other one was Zane Smith. He's not only going to the rear, but he's doing a pass-through penalty from 24th. That pretty much, I did take his projection down some with that news, but that is going to pretty much shut him out of my player pools altogether. Not that he was really in there to begin with anyway. So going over, let's just look at the practice here first of all. And I'm going to, so first in practice, Daniel Suarez also backed that up with some nice 5 to 25 lap average speeds in there as well. Same with Carson Hochevar, second. He backed it up with some top 5 speeds in terms of lap times, lap averages. Chase Briscoe didn't have a great qualifying run, was excellent in practice. He was third, third and 5 and 10 lap averages, and then stayed within that top 7 in terms of lap averages going deeper. So obviously he's going to stand out as a nice place differential play. That is that qualifying practice differential of -17. So that's really just looking at where they qualified versus where they ranked in practice to kind of give you an idea of who's maybe faster than their starting position. Then we can kind of dig deeper into that as well. But like I said, he backs it up with that lap averages 5, 10, 15, all the way back to 30 lap averages there as well. Ross Chastain, same thing. Austin Cindric, very, very fast. The longer the runs went for Cindric at only 6,900, that's a nice value play. And you think he doesn't necessarily need to lead from third to give you that value, being that he is sub 7K. I think I kind of figured out. We'll head over to the matrix here and just have a look at that real quick. This is something I like to use. So again, if you're new to the show, if you're new to Jagerbom's Fantasy Sports, this is called the DK Fantasy Matrix, also FanDuel. So again, it's showing the drivers their starting positions, how many points they need for 4, 5, and 6X, and then we got the chart here. So like for Austin Cindric, we're kind of looking for between 5 and 6X, so between 35 and 41 points. For him to get that 35 to 41, he's going to need a third to sixth place finish with no lap sled or no fast laps. I think with his speed, we can kind of maybe look at him possibly getting a few lap slide in there, and being one of those dominators. And we're going to talk about that here in a second once we're done with practice. For anyone that maybe missed the preview show, we'll go over some of that data and kind of what we're looking at in terms of building our player pools and our lineups today. But for Cindric, if he was, so another thing that you can do here is you can go over to this projected lap sled, and to be able to edit this yourself, all you have to do is go up to the top, hit file, create a copy, name it whatever you want, and then you can actually come in here and you can edit this information. So like, let's just say, for instance, Cindric leads 25 laps, has 10 fast laps. Well, now to get that 35 to 41 points, he only is really needing like an 8th to an 11th, 8th to a 12th place finish to be able to get there. So that $6,900 price tag is really nice, being that he showed that top speed. So that's kind of how I use the DK Fantasy Matrix. I refer to it quite a bit here on the shows. I refer to it quite a bit in chat as well as the preview shows and that sort of thing. And it's a key tool for me when building my lineups. So let's just round out the top 10 in practice here, and then we'll move on. So we got Ty Gibbs up next. He showed some top 10 speed throughout. He's got a -8 qualifying to practice differential, 6,400, maybe someone that we want to consider today. Both those guys, and we'll talk about projections here in a bit because there's some things that I would like to point out, and then possibly get some feedback from you guys as well. And just kind of see what you guys think of the projections, where they should maybe be skewed a little bit more, what maybe should go into it, and just ask some questions. And we're going to, like I said, the system that we got together is improving on these projections each and every week. Looking at, we're just now into practice speeds as of COTA at the road course last week, and now practice this week for Phoenix. And then we're going to start heading into some intermediate tracks as well. So that practice and qualifying is going to become a lot more prevalent in those calculating those projections. So rounding that out, we got Ryan Blaney, 7th, Christopher Bell was 8th, Tyler Reddick 9th, and Michael McDowell 10th in practice. All right. So one thing I wanted to look at, again, something that I've added to the sheet this year, which has been huge in terms of the preview video. I go over it a lot deeper in the preview video each and every week, looking at previous optimal lineups and previous results from the track that we're looking at, just to kind of help us decide, are we looking at dominator points? Are we looking at track position? Are we looking at place differential? And kind of going from there. So the optimal lineup tab is right beside the track history tab. And what we notice, first of all, if we're looking at Joey Logano, he is, and we'll sort by projections now, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano way out in front this week. The projection system really likes dominator drivers starting in the front row. And that tracks, that definitely checks out, something we're going to look at here. It's also factored in for, obviously both of them have excellent track history here. Plus that the practice speeds weren't quite there, so it's not factoring in, I don't think, as much with the practice speed. It's more about the track position, having that clean air, and being able to lead laps from the front. Now, like I said, that does track because when we go and look at the optimal data, I've got all 8 races in the next gen era here at Phoenix, and looking at those, the driver starting on the pole has been a dominator in 7 of those 8 races. So we'll just go ahead and we'll look at like Hamlin led 208. Starting second in that race was William Byron, 52. So the front row dominator points led 260 between them. 2025, the very first race, the spring race last year, William Byron from the pole led 83. Joey Logano from second led 81. They were 2 of the 3 dominators. So this is tracking, as you can see here. Joey Logano led 107 from second, and Martin Truex Jr., so he didn't have any from the pole. So that's the only race, the fall race in 2024, where the driver starting first didn't lead over, I think it was 40 laps, 40 or 50 laps minimum, the driver has led. So if we just go ahead to the fantasy matrix quickly, and we look at Joey Logano, and let's just nicely give him 50. And if we look at some of those other track history here of these drivers from first, like Denny Hamlin led 208, I give him 50% of those were fast laps. I want to go look at William Byron. He had 18 fast laps, 83. So we're just going to, with 50 laps led, we're going to give him 20 fast laps. So for Joey Logano, 55 for a 6x return. He doesn't even need to win the race if he leads early on. If he's an early dominator, leads 50 laps, 20 fast laps, 6th place finish is going to give him a 6x return. Most likely that's going to put him in the optimal lineup. So that's how we can kind of use this matrix to decide that. Now, if he becomes 100 and say 30 here, you're looking at a 6x return at 14th place finish. So he can really fall back. If he's an early dominator and then finishes outside the top 10, he can still be in the optimal lineup. We've seen this in the past as well. When analyzing these optimal lineup data over previous races, guys that become an early dominator, not even so much early, they could be a late dominator too, and then just kind of maybe fall back in the last, 10, 20 laps, finish outside the top 10. They're still showing up in the optimal lineup. So that dominator is huge. So I definitely agree with the Logano and Larson here, just based off of what we've seen in the past. Another trend here, looking at this, like the second race last year, we had 2 guys starting top 10, 1 dominator, double-digit place differential. So a nice mix there. The spring race, we had 2 drivers starting second and 11th. They were both dominators, and then double-digit place differential. Nice mix there. And a lot of these lineups that you're going to see are 2 drivers like in that 10K, kind of in that upper tier range. So keep that in mind. It's kind of more of a stars and scrubs build here because most of those drivers that are going to get those laps led are going to be in that top tier. So what you're going to see here, and a couple trends that we're looking at, is drivers like this race, spring race of 2024. We had 3 drivers starting top 10, and 5 of the 6 started top 15. This was the only race in those 8 next gen era races at Phoenix where there was not a driver to lead 100 or more laps, but there was 5 drivers who led 50 or more. And as you can see, 3 of them, or yeah, 4 of them made the optimal lineup. So this was a major track history, more of a balanced build, even though Gilliland got in there, but we had 10, 9, 2 in the 8s, and then a 6 and call that a 6, high 5 down there at the bottom. That's the only race. So this spring race in 2024 was a little bit of an outlier in terms of what we see over the course of 8 next gen era races here at Phoenix. We'll go over a couple more here. We had 3 starting top 10 in the fall race of 2023, a championship race, I guess. So Phoenix is no longer a championship race, back to Homestead. So going back to 2020, so all of the next gen races so far in the fall at Phoenix were championship races. So 2023, 3 guys starting top 10, 2 dominators, and only 2 double-digit place differential here. But still, we had 2 guys in the 11K, 2 in the 8, and 2 in the 5. So again, 2 guys in the top tier, and then we're just kind of filling around. Obviously, Chastain in the mid 8K range gave us a huge return in that race. Spring race of 2023, again, 3 drivers started top 10, 2 dominators, and sprinkled in with a little bit of place differential. So you can kind of tell how things have kind of changed over time with Phoenix, where early on it was a lot of guys starting up front. You had your dominators, which is something that has carried through the entire 8 races. But the one thing that has changed is a little bit more balance, a lot more track position early on versus recently, where we've had the dominators and then heavy double-digit place differential value plays filling in around those dominator drivers. So that's kind of what I'm looking at today. I think we're going to be looking at going, let's just say, sort this by price again. We've got currently 9 drivers in the 9K and up range. I am building almost all of my lineups with 3 drivers from that. It's I don't like the mid tier as much, which we'll go over here in a second. I really like the top tier, and then I think there's definitely enough value plays in that 7 and 6K range, even down into the 5 a little bit. We can touch on where we can get 3 drivers in this top tier and try and nail 2 of those dominator drivers, which is kind of what I'm looking for today. Is 2. I don't think we're going to see like a spring race in 2024 where there was 5 drivers who all led 50 or more, but none of them led 100 or more. I think we're going to see 1 or 2 drivers lead 100 plus laps today, for sure. 1. I think we're going to see 2, and then maybe even 3 drivers over 80, which we've seen in the past. So I think it's really key to get 3 drivers in your build from this 9K and up range, and that's kind of what I'm centered on. We're going to build some lineups out here shortly as well once we go over a few drivers and what we like about them. In the meantime, there's any questions? Who do you guys think is going to win? Is there anything on the sheet? Because there's a lot of information, a lot of things changing on the sheet from week to week. So I just would love some feedback to see what you guys think in terms of maybe things that aren't helping, things that are helping a lot, things that we can add. Please provide any feedback, and you can do that here in the live show. Comment on the preview show. Head to Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9. You can head into our Discord channel. Tons of places to leave us feedback. You can send us an email, jaegerbombs99@gmail.com. And we will continue to try and improve these sheets for research to help you guys build winning lineups week in and week out. Okay, so let's go down. Let's go down the price here and just look at some guys. Obviously, we talked about Joey Logano. He had 9,200 starting from the pole. We talked about drivers dominating from the front row, so he's kind of going to be up there. I think he's going to be an early dominator. So I don't think you necessarily have to decide between Larson and Logano, but it is going to be key. If I don't think I'm going to go with both of them in the same lineup. I think I'm going to keep them separate because I think one of them is kind of going to get out front and get that clean air early and is going to lead a lot of laps and be that early dominator, whereas the other one then becomes a little bit riskier to get to his laps. So with Logano at 9,200, his history here, which we've looked at, he has led 379 laps in the next gen era here. He's won 2 championships. So his 2 wins here at Phoenix both came in the fall to win him a championship. So he is the lap leader, which is really nice to see that he's dominated a lot of laps here as well. Even though this is the spring race, he's been like much better, 6.5 places better in the fall than the spring. But this is no longer a championship race. So I'm not factoring that spring versus fall a whole bunch here. I'm looking at he's on the pole. He's going to have the clean air. He's got good track history here. He is 1,300 cheaper than Larson, so he would be my number 1 pick over Larson in terms of looking at that dominator. And like I said, I'm not going to be mixing them together in terms of my lineup builds. Maybe if I was doing 150, which I never do, you might want to combine those in, and maybe those 2 become the 2 guys that lead 100 plus laps. I just not thinking that way today. I'm kind of going with one or the other. Then also in the top tier, the only guy that's really going to give us double digit, well, there's 2. You got Elliott and Briscoe both starting outside the top 20. Briscoe has been pretty terrible here over the last 3, but he does have a win here, 2022 spring race. And he's also got 4 top 10s in his last 7 races here as well, or 6 races here as well. So that's something that I do like. And then we've got Chase Elliott. He started in 26. He's got 3 straight top 10s here. He's got 5 straight top 20s. Got to like that as well. And then we look at their practice speeds. It's Briscoe for me over Elliott. Starting 20th. He's a -17. We talked about him a little bit earlier. He was 3rd in overall practice speed, 3rd in 5 and 10 lap average, and 3rd in 25 and 30, which I'm not really looking at that 25 and 30 too much because I think there was only 10 drivers that got past 25 laps in their practice. So I'm not really completely looking at that. So Briscoe over Elliott here, but I do like them both. They both have nice practice qualifying differential. Overall practice speed, Elliott was 14th, and then he kind of lost it in terms of his 5, 10, 15, and 20 lap averages. So Briscoe over Elliott there in terms of the place differential plays in that top tier. Christopher Bell stands out a lot. He's number 3 in the overall model right now. He's top 10 across the board in practice. I start in 12th, so I like to see that. Um, and then he's won the last 2 spring races here, which is awesome. He's got 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and 6 top 20s. He's even led 298 laps, which is third behind Logano and Byron here in the next gen car at Phoenix. So him starting 12th, he's right up there in my rankings this week as well. Ryan Blaney, I talked about him a ton in the preview show. He won the playoff race here last fall. Larson won the championship. Blaney won the race here, but he has been absolutely incredible. 7 top 5s in the 8 next gen races here at Phoenix. 5.8 average finish. He's just in a tier of his own here at this racetrack. He is the favorite to win. We look at DK Sportsbook here, plus 285 still to win the race. Showed speed in practice, so he was 7th in overall practice and 8.6. So he got better as the more laps that he ran. So definitely going to be a top favorite. I don't think he's going to be one of the top dominators, but he's definitely got the car to do it. He's done it in the past, and like I said, he showed top 10 in practice. So while Logano, if you want to pair and pairing teammates doesn't, it's not like a super speedway where we want to get teammates together, but this one does make sense where you got Logano down here at 9200 starting first. I think he can get out front, maybe lead 80 plus laps early on in this race. And like I said, he doesn't even need, if he does that, he's not even going to need a top 10 finish to make the optimal lineup. He can kind of finish 8th to 12th, and I think even close to 15th if he leads enough laps and still make that optimal lineup. Whereas Blaney, if they even make the adjustments and get up front and then lead a bunch of laps later in the race, maybe say in the second half of the race, and he gets to 50 plus laps led, we'll head over to the matrix here and kind of see what he needs. We'd really like to see 67 out of him, which is going to probably, not even. So let's go even 80-20 here. Even bring it down. Let's go 60 and 10. So if he wins the race, leads 60 laps, 10 fast laps, he's going to hit that 6x projection. So you can see how much more upside there is, even though he's 11-2. If he gets up into that 100 lap lead range, 30 fast laps, he's now hitting 6x at just inside the top 10. Going to absolutely crush. So definitely one of the top drivers here. Again, he kind of checks every single box here as well. Even that track type history on the short flat tracks, 9 of them last year, he won 3 of them and had 7 top 5s in the 9 races. So when it comes to short flat tracks, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, right there. So pairing those two together, I think that's going to be the first lineup that we're going to build here and kind of look at is those two. And it still leaves you a 7,400. So moving down the board, kind of into that middle tier, which I'm not too high on. I do like Chastain, absolutely dominant in practice, starting 6th. He has a chance to get up front and lead some laps as well, but he's probably going to need that a little bit more to hit his 5, 6x. Like right now, if he wasn't to lead any laps, he's going to need, well, he can't hit 6x at the moment unless he leads some laps. He can hit 5x for the 3rd place finish. So you can tell there's a little bit more risk with Chastain here. Should he not lead any laps? You're going to need Chastain to lead some laps here. Sorry, you're going to need that coffee. It's early here still. So Chastain does add a little bit more risk, even though he was dominant in practice. So that's another reason why I like that top tier a lot more. Probably going to grab 2 or 3 of those drivers in almost every single lineup that I build. Chris Buescher, I do like a lot. Starting 17th, he's giving you that place differential upside as well, and he showed that he's got close to a top 10 car. He didn't run anything more than a 10 lap average, but in those 10 lap averages, he was 6th. So looking at him starting 17th, just to kind of compare Buescher versus Chastain, rated pretty much the same price. Briscoe's 300 cheaper, no big deal. But with that place differential upside that he has, he only needs to get to a 6x, a 5th place finish, and Buescher's at 6x return. So he doesn't need to lead any laps to really hit on that. And then if we're looking at just like a 5x return, which it still has a chance to make those optimal lineups, for sure is enough to get you into cash in a lot of the GPPs. You only need between a 9th and a 10th place finish for Buescher to get into that optimal lineup, to hit that 5x return on his price. So I definitely like Buescher a little bit more than Chastain here. Kozlowski, there's going to be some risk. He didn't show any speed whatsoever in practice, so there's a lot of risk there, even though there is a big projection on him because of that start in 37th. He's got some track history here as well. Kyle Busch just didn't show, was 17th in overall practice, but that long run speed is absolutely terrible. It's kind of going with what we've seen so far this season. And honestly, as a Kyle Busch fan, it kind of has just been disappointing since he's swapped over to Richard Childress in that number 8 car. So I'm really hoping that he can grab another win or two before he ends up calling it quits in his career. Going down a little bit further, Josh Berry, not really on myself. We've got Hocevar, said his name wrong earlier. I apologize. In the 77, he's starting 7th, and he showed some dominant top 5 speed. So again, at his price, let's jump in there. Let's look at that. Right now, he can hit 6x with like a second. He kind of needs to get a podium finish. So there's going to be a little bit of risk here too, unless you think he can get up front and lead some laps. 38, you're kind of looking at 6th, 7th place finish there for him to hit that 5x return with no laps led. If he can get up front, even lead, say 20 laps, 5 fast laps, that improves his odds a little bit. And he did show that speed to get up in front and lead some laps. I just don't think that he's going to be a lap leader today, so I'm not baking that into my projection for him whatsoever. Going down a little bit further, we got Connor Zilic coming off a disappointing road course race last week, and actually, where did he finish? Down here. It is a little disappointing because, well, for him, I mean, we also thought possibly he'd be getting inside that top 10, but he went to the back, I believe, twice during that race at COTA, came back with a 14th place finish, which is 40 plus DK points, was actually really good to see. I say disappointing just because he probably could have been better had he not had to go to the back and work his way through that field twice, which is very tough to do on COTA. So that was very promising to see. And now he's starting 19th. He's giving you that double-digit place differential again, maybe outside double-digit place differential projection here. But he showed top 10 long run speed all the way through. So looking at him at 7,500 is going to stand out a lot. 37.5 here. You're looking at like a 13th to 12th place finish to hit that 5x, and then he can get you 6x return with the 9th place finish, and he showed that top 10 speed. So that's not out of the realm. Definitely in my player pool this week as well. Bubba Walsh, we talked about. Tyler Reddick, especially, has been red hot, obviously, winning 3 straight races to start the season for Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin's 23-11 team. Bubba has not been too shabby himself with 2 top 10s, 3 top 20s, and he's showing top 20, 16th to 20th place upside here this week. Last year was a throwaway for him, 29th and 37th here at Phoenix. But before that, he was 7th, 16th, 10th, and 14th. So he had 2 straight years of very solid finishes. And if he gives you even that 16th place finish this year, he's definitely a driver that is going to pop in winning lineups, optimal lineups, even top 20 to 50 in the big GPPs. He's going to be up there as well because, I mean, 43 points. He really only needs to get you a 14th place finish for you to hit 6x with him. So again, that makes a lot of sense. Eric Jones is someone that stands out, starting 32nd today. He's had a really good run here. 16th, 18th, 22nd, 31st sucks. 20th, 21st, 14th, 25th. So very consistently finishing around that 20th at 6,300. Practice speeds were there. Other practice speeds. Daniel Suarez starting 4th. I can't really get on board with that. I think it's very, let's just break it down in terms of his upside here. Like, I don't see him getting any laps led. I don't see him any fast laps. That, maybe a few here and there, but I don't think it's going to matter in terms of his scoring. Just to get 5x out of him at 6,200, he needs a top 10 finish. To hit 6x, you're going to be looking at a top 5 finish. I don't think that's going to be there today. I think the odds of that happening are very slim. So he won't be in my. I maybe be rooting for him for sure, because it's always nice to see those underdogs get those top finishes and kind of surprise. But for DFS, I am not loving it at all. All right, we got Jay Plotton one here, not loving Toyotas today, but oddly feels like a Bell day. Yeah, Toyotas, let's go back up to the top and talk about the Toyotas here. I didn't mention Denny Hamlin. He's had really good course history here, track history here. They can golf for a second, but there are so many other drivers in that top tier that I like a little bit better. Again, he didn't even back it up with top 15 speed in practice, besides his 15th. But as we get into these lap averages, it's just not been good. Christopher Bell, I do really like him a lot. I agree with you. I think it's a Bell day. I don't think Reddick's going to get that fourth straight win. He didn't really show that he kind of got worse as the more laps that they ran in terms of those lap speeds. So I'm with you so far. Briscoe, I do like. Maybe not to win the race, but for DFS, I think he makes a lot of sense. I think he's a top 10 car. He showed it in practice. And just with that being, getting inside the top 10 for Briscoe, and did we look at that? Top 10 gets you 44 points. So yeah, he's going to need a little bit more than that. So probably going to need, an fourth to an eighth place finish for him to get there. So he's kind of on the fence for me, when you think about that in terms of Toyotas. And then heading down, Bubba Wallace. I do like him starting 28th. I don't think like I said just recently, I don't think he really needs to do that much. Gibbs starting 14th is adding some risk there, even though he showed some practice speed. Eric Jones is more of a place differential play for me. So in terms of the top Toyotas, I think I'm with you. I'm more on the Fords, like, again, Logano and Blaney. But some of these lower value plays I'm definitely into. So yeah, thanks for bringing it up. I agree with you there a little bit for sure. And then a couple other value plays that are standing out here. Michael McDowell, I like starting 16th. He kind of showed 10th in practice in terms of his fastest lap, and then 16th, 17th, 14th, 5, 10, 15 lap averages. I think that's all right. At 6,100, he's got 3 top 10s his last 5 races here, which is really good to see as well. So when we break down Michael McDowell here, at 6,100, I'll take that 30 points, which is putting him kind of around that 14th, 15th place finish. So kind of right where he started. So if he finishes anywhere ahead of where he started, he's getting you at least 5x. I do like that from a value play today, especially someone that's got 3 top 10s here in the last 5 races. So there is obviously a little bit of risk because he's either really good or he's really bad. But 6,100, I'm willing to take that risk in GPPs. Talked about Zane Smith. He's going to be out for me starting from the rear. I labeled that in red here. Todd Gilliland always seems to pop. I don't think I'm fully on board with his 40.6 projection. We'll kind of go look at that here. 40.6 for him to get into that 40 range. You're looking at a 16th, 17th place finish, which is probably on his high side, getting inside that top 20 here. So I think that projection's probably a little bit high, but honestly, for 5,700, we're talking about now getting 3 drivers in the 9K and up in that top tier in our lineups and playing stars and scrubs. He's, I think, a nice addition to that stars and scrubs. I think we can take at 28 points from him, which kind of we're looking at like a 22nd place finish for him, which is a little more realistic. And if he gets up to 34, which is the 19th, just inside the top 20 car, then we're looking at Todd Gilliland being a 6X driver, and then that's going to make those stars and scrubs lineups really pop and hit their top projections. So that's kind of way I'm looking at that there. So a couple things we can do with this lineup that we started building here over on DraftKings. We got Blaney, Logano, like I talked about. I think we've got the race winner in here with Blaney. Obviously the big favorite. I think he can lead some laps. I think Logano can lead some laps early on. We talked about with his price, how if he leads laps early on, we don't necessarily need that high-end finish from him to make the optimal lineups. A value play that I think we can throw in here. I talked about Eric Jones. We talked about Michael McDowell. We talked about Todd Gilliland. So a couple ways you can go if you want to go grab 2 of these guys. That now brings you up to like an 88. So you can actually fit 3 of these guys. So if we fit Bell in there, we're still down to 74. You can fit Bubba Wallace in there. I talked about Austin Cindric a little bit with his speed. You can leave some on the table, maybe come down to Michael McDowell. That's leaving quite a bit on the table. I don't think I'm going there. So with the value plays like I talked about, I don't think it is too hard whatsoever to be able to go ahead and get 3 of those drivers in that top tier and even 2 over 10K in your lineups and build that stars and scrubs type lineup today. In terms of betting, there's a couple that I like here over on DK Sportsbook. In terms of maybe, like I said, Ryan Blaney plus 285. Not really liking that number. Logano plus 450. I'm not really there. I do like Kyle Larson plus 900. We'll go check him out. Like I said, he's got good track history here. He started second near the front row, top fives in 5 of his last 6. And he may not have shown practice speed, but I think they're a team that can definitely make the adjustments and get up there. So looking at him at plus 900 seems like a good number for Larson. The only thing that he's lacking, like I said, is that practice speed. Other guys I'd like to win, Ross Chastain, maybe plus 1500 is a very good number. And then some top tens. I think we can go. I do like Briscoe. I like these plus 165s with Briscoe and Elliott. I like those top tens from those drivers as well. Any other questions? And again, if anyone is new here, hasn't heard it yet, we have one more day going on our special right now. You can get all of our sports content, not just our NASCAR, Truck O'Reilly, and Cup Series, but all of our sports content, which right now I believe is 10 or 11 sports going on right now. There's cheat sheets for all of them. There's picks, ranks, cores, stats analysis, all that sort of stuff. You can get all of that for just $5 for the first month. Regular price on that is $25. So after the first month, you can go ahead and cancel. You can grab just one sport for 15 bucks a month. You can grab all sports for 25 bucks a month. But for the first month, you can come try out everything for just $5. There is stuff going on daily. Head over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs and grab that all sports package and use code Jaeger5, Jager, and the number 5. That information is above. You can find that information in the description below. And if there's no more questions, good luck this week. And if you do come up with some questions, hit me up in the Discord or at Jaeger_bombs9 on Twitter. Let's go build some winning lineups and let's crush it. See some green screens. Good luck this week, everyone.